guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm gonna be breaking down Summer House Season 9, Episode 9. I feel like last week's Episode 8 was like super exciting and I took a ton of notes, and this episode was definitely a step down, a little bit more of maybe like seeing the fallout of things and then setting up a really great second half of the season with Paige and Craig. Paige and Lindsay are driving to the house together and they both reflect on how much their relationship has changed since they first met each other. Remember when they used to like despise each other? I feel like I said like in episode 1 of this season that like it's so nice that all of the women are tight, like none of them are fighting. Maybe we'll see if Lexi and Sierra kind of get into it, but like the old guard, they're all close, I think, for the first time in Summer House history, which is really sweet. It's so funny, those clips of Lindsay and Paige are so indicative of like what fashion used to be like back then. Remember when Paige had like a sharp ass bob and Lindsay also had like really short hair? Remember when short hair was just like super in like maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago?
You, Lindsay. You tried to say that I was a bad friend. Now you're trying to shut this down.
I'm not even gonna talk about this. Shall we go out?
Yeah, because you're wrong. You're not gonna talk about it. Now that I'm getting deeper into my 30s, I'm like, I don't owe you
Paige asks Lindsay if she thinks Carl has any idea that she clocked that he might have been talking to Lil before he broke up with her. And she kind of says like no, but she's worried that like, I think she told Lexi and she's worried that Lexi is gonna tell Jesse, but then like Lexi and Jesse have their own thing going on, so I don't really think that's at the top of Lexi's radar right now. Lexi, Jesse, and West are driving to the house together, and Lexi says that after the kickball fight, she went home and she cried for 2 days straight. I'm so sorry. Here's the thing, like, nobody should be dating Jesse Solomon, but this type of woman is exactly the type of woman who should not be dating Jesse Solomon. Like, I'm so sorry. I think somebody who dates a guy like Jesse, like a guy that outgoing and that flirty and that much of a boundary pusher, you have to be stronger than the US Marines, and I just do not think Lexi has that strength. No offense. I just don't think she's the type of woman who could handle him. But I will say she is exactly the type of woman who manipulative men like Jesse target and try to like just manipulate into liking them by like telling them everything they want to hear. You know what I mean? Apparently last night, Jesse was feeling guilty, or no, I'm gonna say that again. So apparently after kickball, Jesse was feeling guilty, and rightfully so. He should have felt guilty. And so he introduced Lexi to his parents, and West is like shocked. West is like gagged in the backseat, like talking about this. And Jesse in the confessional is basically just says like, no, I absolutely did not want to introduce this girl to my parents, but I thought it would make her happy after the kickball fight.
No, it is not normal for me to introduce somebody to my parents after 1 month of dating.
Then they get to the house, and the amount of packages they get at the house are insane. What is all of that? Is it party supplies? Are the girls ordering like clothes for the weekend or makeup? Or is it like the production crew is ordering stuff? I want to believe that it's the production crew, because why in the world would those people need all of those packages? I literally saw that and I was like, oh my God, the waste that these people are creating, this is like insane. Everyone's kind of like chilling in the backyard, and Lexi tells the girls all about the kickball fight. I'm gonna call it the kickball fight. You know what we're talking about, with like all of the, like everybody telling Lexi like, oh, like Lexi essentially saying, why am I hearing that you were flirting with Sierra at the party last week when I wasn't here? That's the kickball fight to me. So she's telling the girls all about this fight, and then she was like, yeah, like I was so mad and I was crying, but Jesse sent me flowers that night and we went to my favorite restaurant and we talked it out. Here's the thing, I always say this. This is like one of my biggest pieces of relationship advice. The beginning of any relationship is supposed to be the easy part. It's supposed to be the best part. It's called the honeymoon phase for a reason. It's supposed to be fun and easy, and you should not be fighting, and it shouldn't be hard at all. It should just be like you're both really into each other and you're having so much fun, and you should not already be getting into fights that are so bad that you're crying in your house for 2 days straight. Then Lexi just straight up tells Sierra what people have been saying about her and Jesse flirting. And then she's like, yeah, I don't know. I just thought it was so weird because like, I've always seen you guys as like brother and sister. So like I just really couldn't picture it. And literally all of the other women are so gagged. They literally cut to them and they're like, and so Lexi is super confused about all of this. And she's like, listen, I don't want Jesse to act differently when I'm not around. And Paige is like, well, if you want to be his girlfriend, then he does need to change his behavior because he does act differently when you're not around. And she says she thinks that Jesse knows that. And Jesse does sort of know. I mean, he talks about it all the time. He's like, it's like as much of a like player as he is, he's kind of self-aware about it. Like he does know he's a player. He's always talking about like, oh, I don't think I'm meant to like be with one woman forever. How could anyone do that? It's just that like he acknowledges that and then he's like, okay, let me see how far I can push this girl's boundaries, which he said that he does that. He likes pushing boundaries. So basically Paige is just telling Lexi like, listen girl, you need to hold him accountable to actually changing because if it's just up to him being self-motivated to change, he's not going to do that. Then Lindsay tells the girls about Carl and the Lil debacle. And she's like literally so pissed. This whole like sub storyline is so silly to me. It was so silly and exhausting to watch, but she calls Lil a home-wrecking whore. And this was the point. Here's the thing. I believe that if you have truly, truly, truly moved on from an ex, you would not be so aggressive when you speak about them in this way. Unless, of course, they did something horrific to you, like if they abused you or things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in sort of a run-of-the-mill, like, breakup situation. When you say like, oh, I've moved on, I don't care about you anymore. But then you're talking about the other person and you're like, fuck their new girl. She's a bitch. She's a whore. Oh, I hate him. He played me. I hate him. I hate him. Like when you're talking about them so aggressively, that makes me inclined to think that like you're not over them because why are you still so highly emotional about it? And I mean, I guess to be fair, Lindsay is pregnant. I have heard that makes you very highly emotional. So it's like I'm going to cut her some slack here. But just in general, like if I hear somebody saying like, I'm so over my ex, I don't need them anymore. But then anytime somebody mentions their name, it's like, fuck that guy. I hate that guy, that bitch. It's like, maybe you're not really over them. Jesse hosts Shabbat dinner. It's very, very sweet. I don't think I knew that he was Jewish. I don't remember clocking that. So I think that's like really sweet. When they're talking about the highlights of their week, Carl says that he went on a date and it made him realize that he wants to keep dating. It's like very wholesome. It's very boring. It's just like, it's very sweet. And then Lindsay straight up just says, well, it's come to my attention that you've been talking to her since last summer, talking about Lil. So then Carl is, of course, Lindsay's being, of course, her usual Lindsay self, the way that she talks. It's very like forward and bold. Sorry. And Carl is just trying to be so calm, zen, like, I meditate now. Like, he's just being really calm and being like, well, I met Lil's parents at a soccer game, but I only just started messaging her last fall. And then Lindsay is saying that the girl is running around saying that they've been messaging since last summer. So here's the thing. When this aired, or I think even before this aired, like maybe when the previews were going on, Lil posted on her stories and was like, Lindsay is lying. Like, I did not cheat with Carl. Like, she's just straight up lying. So she said that as of like, I remember seeing that like a couple of weeks ago. So Lil denies it. And then, I hated this so much. So Carl says that he could bring up a list of things that Lindsay has lied about, but he says that he won't. And then he goes like, oh, I pray for you, which is so, Paige brings this up later, but anytime somebody says like, oh, I pray for you, like I really do, it's like, shut up. That is such like a backhanded, when Paige says later on, when she's like, oh, I feel like Craig is very mean to me in a Southern way, that is very mean in a Southern way. That is so backhanded. It's so like, bless your heart. It's just so like, oh, I pray for you because clearly you need it. It's like, shut up. That I hate hate when people say that. It's so annoying. And then good on Lindsay for saying like, I don't need you to do that. Good on her for saying that, because that is such a backhanded thing to say. And then Kyle's over here stoking the fire. He's like, honestly, Carl, you need to just show Lindsay your phone at this point, which definitely sounds like, it's like so funny. I feel like you can just so tell when like the cast members are either trying to be producers or the producers tell them to say something, because that just felt so like, oh, I have to say this to move the story along. So Carl does go to get his phone, and then they show this. I feel like they show this to try to like stoke some more drama, because they show him like pausing on the stairs and going through his phone while everybody else is chatting at the table waiting for them. And I feel like this was them trying to manufacture drama, because a conspiracy theorist would then go on Reddit and be like, he deleted the messages. He clearly deleted the messages. Because I think you can do that on Instagram. I'm pretty sure you can. So I feel like that's what they wanted us to think he was doing. But then he just like gives the phone to Lindsay, and she goes through it, and she's like, oh yeah, see, there's a message from October. And then she is like, oh, well, that's in October. It's like she's kind of trying to find something else to be mad about. So then she's like, well, you didn't tell me that you met Lil's parents at a soccer game. And then Carl's like, well, yeah, I don't come back from soccer games being like, oh, I met the coolest parents today. And then everybody laughs, and then it's just like over. It was honestly kind of like, Lindsay's pregnant. I'm going to give her a pass. But I do think she kind of fell flat on her face there. And it's funny because she's still talking like so aggressively, even though she was literally just proven wrong. And I do think she admits, I think she's just like, okay, thank you for showing me that. And then they all just kind of like move on. It was just like so awkward. I don't know. I thought it was like a little embarrassing for her. She tried, she really tried, and she came in really hot, but she was just proven wrong. And then they move on, and Lexi's highlight for the week is that she says normally when she gets into an argument with a guy, she gets the ick. But this time she's really proud of herself for not getting the ick for Jesse. Girl, I wish you got the ick for Jesse. I think everybody wishes you got the ick for Jesse. That's it. That's all I have to say about that. And then this is like crazy. After dinner, Lindsay's upstairs and she's on the phone with Turner, and she tells him about her and Carl's fight, and she's still being like very like passionate about it. And I'm like, girl, like, why do you care so much? This is what I'm saying with like, I don't think she's over him. Like, why do you care so much? Why is this making you so heated that you're talking about it with your current partner and the father of your future child? Like, that's crazy to me. I feel like if I was Turner in that situation, I'd be like, I don't want to hear about Carl like that. Like, I don't know, just like odd, just really odd. I couldn't be in that situation. I could not be with somebody who's like actively still talking about their ex. I mean, I understand it's a unique situation. Lindsay has to like live with her ex on the weekends, but like, I don't know. That was so weird to me. And then downstairs, Carl tells Kyle that Lindsay's obsessed with him. And I'm like, I don't know. Is he wrong? Like, she's always talking about him. She's always finding things to be upset about. And like, listen, I've done a 180 on Lindsay. I used to hate Lindsay like very, very early on. Then when she was dating Carl, I really liked her. In the breakup, like, well, I mean, actually, no, her and Carl were like very mean to each other. I've never loved her, but like I kind of grew out of strongly disliking her. But then with Carl saying like Lindsay's obsessed with me, I'm kind of like, yeah, like she is obsessed with you. Like she's still talking about you and when she's literally like 6 months pregnant with a baby, like that is with somebody else's baby. Like that is just so like, I don't know. It's weird. Then the next morning, Carl is crying outside in the backyard. And it's so funny. Imrul kind of comes out and he's like not phased. He literally comes out and he's like, what's up, bro? Like he literally it like doesn't phase him at all. And then Lindsay tells everybody inside, she's like, this is the anniversary of Carl's brother passing. Just really sad. That was a really sad. I remember that episode. That was like, it was just like horrible to watch and to like see his reaction. I did not realize it was the day before Lindsay's birthday that he passed. I mean, that's like, it's just insane. It's really sad. And then when they're at Kyle's DJ set and Carl's kind of talking about it with Sierra, she's comforting Carl and she says some really great stuff. I really like what she says about how like you didn't let your brother die in vain. Like you are using his like your experience with him and his experience to like walk in your purpose. It's amazing that you're sober now. You're advocating for sober living, things like that. It's like she's saying some amazing things. And then she's crying as she says it, and she wipes her tears with her hair. And I'm like, Sierra, girl, I did not like that. There's something about like bodily fluids like gross me out. I'm gonna leave it there, but just her wiping her tears with her hair, I was like, ew, I didn't like that. So then Jesse tells Paige and West that Lexi has been like keeping track of who he's following on Instagram ever since they met. Like, she'll be like, oh, why do you follow these girls on Instagram? And then Jesse will like unfollow them. And then without him telling her, she will go up to him and be like, oh, thank you for unfollowing those girls. Which is too much. That's too much. Girl, it's like, why do you want this? Why do you want to be in a relationship with a guy like that? Ew. It's just like, what, like, who wants to be in a relationship where that's what you feel like you have to do? You feel like you have to go on Instagram and police who they're following and like tap every girl's profile and see what she's posting and then make a verdict as to whether or not he's allowed to follow her. It's like, isn't that exhausting? It's like, don't you have better things to do? And then Paige says it's giving 26-year-old energy. And I'm like, well, no, like, I'm 26. And a lot of my friends are around between like 24 to 27. And like, none of us are doing that. None of us are doing anything like that. But then also Paige is like, oh, well, when I was 26, I was like going to people's houses and knocking on doors being like, I know you're in there. So like, maybe it's a different crowd. Maybe it's a different crowd. This is just not, I just want to say that this is not a universal 26-year-old thing. This is not personally something that I could relate to or my friends. It's like definitely, I don't want to say it's two-sided because I don't want to say that Lexi is just as much of a problem as Jesse is, but I definitely think that Lexi just in general has some jealousy issues that she needs to work on. And she acknowledges it. I'm pretty sure she says it herself that she's like a jealous person. So like, maybe that's something that we can work on. Maybe that can be a 26-year-old thing, is like working on our jealousy, because that going through somebody's Instagram following is like that. You're just doing too much. That's not normal. It's not normal to feel like you have to do that. Then Sierra and Paige sit down to chat. And Sierra tells her that some of the things that Craig says to her give hater boyfriend energy. And she's like, listen, I don't want you to have to stifle your career and feel like you have to shrink yourself down to make Craig happy. And Paige is like kind of holding back tears. This whole season has been nice for Paige because it's like, this is really the first glimpse we've ever gotten into her personal life, really. Like, we've known about her past relationships. We've like seen a few of her boyfriends and her hookups, but like, we've never really dove into her inner world like this and like actually seen her struggle with things. So like, this is refreshing. I'm kind of surprised that Bravo let her get away with like 8 seasons of just like goofing off and gossiping and hooking up. But Paige makes, again, some incredible points here. She's like, listen, like, I'm the breadwinner. First of all, if we stopped working, or if I stopped working, we would never be able to afford the lifestyle that we have. And then also, he wants me to move to South Carolina. She says, she's like, I do not want to raise my kids in Charleston. Maybe that's something I used to think that I wanted, but now that my career is at the place it is, I do not want that. And she's like, listen, I make more money than him. He should move to me, which is like, yeah, it's like, that's so true. Why should she have to upend her whole life when her career, it's like technically her career could be anywhere, but like being in New York is a good place to be with her career. If she moved to South Carolina, she would just end up flying to New York probably like 2 or 3 times a month. And it's purely because Craig is sexist. I've always thought Craig was a sexist since literally he first came on my screen. Like, he definitely believes that Paige should move to Charleston because she's the woman and the woman moves in with the man, and she should be a stay-at-home mom because like, after you're a mom, why would you want to have a career? That's like the kind of guy that he is. And I just don't think Paige belongs with that kind of guy. And then Sierra asks her if she feels like Craig is still her person, and she says she doesn't know. And she's like holding back tears. It's very like, I understand the struggle. It's like, if she had just started dating Craig 6 months ago and he was talking about like, oh, you should move to Charleston, she probably would just break up with him because she'd be like, no, I'm not going to move to Charleston. But when you've been dating for 3 years, it's not an an easy decision to break up due to like life logistic kind of things. It's hard. It's like you want to make it work because you've already put 3 years into this relationship. You don't want to feel like you're tossing 3 years down the drain. But that's the end of the episode. I honestly don't remember much about the preview for the next episodes. It seems like we're just gonna dive more into some like Craig and Paige stuff, and then also Lexi and Sierra are gonna like finally have a straight up conversation about Jesse, so should be interesting. Keep an eye out because in the coming days, probably literally in the next 2 days, I'm gonna have my recap posted for the last part of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, and then also my recap of the season 2 premiere of The Valley. We are so back. We are so back, and I'm so happy. So definitely keep an eye out for those. In the meantime, please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.